2025 seems to be panning out to be the year that once female-founded household name businesses that have since sold their companies to household name big box brands are now claiming their businesses back. Think about Houda Beauty, which I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. I'm not into beauty, but I definitely am into skincare. So, give me a little point for that. Think about Slutty Vegan. Also think about Carol's Daughter, who we're going to be focusing on today. In the early 2000s, I did use a lot of Carol's Daughter's products. So let's go ahead and get started. Current day, the March 2025, which I also, during some research for this video, I did see that there were some articles that were written about this. So I'm sure it's been in the works for a while, but I did see articles as early as 2024 as well. But it was officially announced in 2025, March, where L'Oreal did mention or announce that they were selling this company back to Lisa Price. Lisa Price was the founder and creator of Carol's Daughter, and they announced that they will be selling it back to her along with her partner Joe Wong. And so that's where we are current day. But if you're not familiar with Carol's Daughter or not sure about the history, I'm going to take you back a little bit and we're going to give you a little bit of a history lesson. And just to mention also, I do have a video where I talked about texture hair care products and pioneers in that industry. And that is on my other channel. If I can find it, which my other channel is called Bags and Lifestyle. If I can find it over there, I will link it down below. I think it is worth checking out that short video where it just giving honor as well as sharing history with the texture hair care business, because Lisa Price is one of those pioneers that has led us to the point where we have so many businesses available today. Lisa Price started hand making her hair care products in her kitchen in Brooklyn, and then she would take them and sell them to flea markets as well as festivals. I found an article back from I think 2017 where they were referencing her history of selling at Essence Fest and the days of Essence Fest, and her not even sleeping because she was a small company at the time, or at least had a very small team. Very interesting to see that information, and that article, like I said, will be linked down below. All references down below. I also want to take a point here to say this information, I've tried to do my best to do as much research as I could as possible. But I'm going to say, for disclaimer purposes, protection purposes on my part, this is all alleged. Do your research. I'm not stating this as fact. This is just entertainment. All right. Now, her breakout product came some years later, and it actually was shared, the Oprah effect. So you remember like Oprah's favorite things, and I think Old magazine still exists, but that was a really big launching point for a lot of businesses. They talked about that as a term back in the day as well. And when she was featured there, the breakout product that was very popular was the healthy hair butter that she was making, and that just catapulted her to expansions and success. What is also interesting is that she bootstrapped her business up until 2021, which is a pretty long time to bootstrap your business. She did end up doing financing, which was in, I believe, 2021. So I think she was shared with through Oprah in 2020, and then she waited a year after that to get funding for a warehouse. And so she needed to stabilize, because obviously, like the Oprah effect, you become super popular. You're getting product orders all over the place. So she waited for that to stabilize, and then a year later, she decided to secure funding. So that's the first time that she looked for outside funding, was in 2021. I do remember around that time frame too, while I was using the products, her expansion, she started with freestanding stores. I started seeing her products in Target. I started seeing them in Macy's. I remember I live in the Atlanta metro area, and I remember seeing a freestanding store in Lenox Mall. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. But she had a freestanding store in Lenox Mall, and then also you could go over to Macy's and purchase products in Macy's too, which was very different. I think that was at least the first time I had seen hair care products be available in Macy's, and it was something kind of different. I don't remember the product offerings. I want to say There were some things that Macy's carried that the Carol's Daughter store did not carry, if I remember correctly, but that expansion, that spread out, you saw it, and it was fast, and it was hard, and it was heavy. Carol's Daughter ended up expanding so much that she actually her products were available in 2,000 stores. Fast forwarding a little bit further, closer to today's time frame, but still we're kind of like in that midpoint period. In 2014, Carol's Daughter LLC filed for bankruptcy. According to what I was able to find, like I said, this is all alleged, entertainment purposes only. The filing was triggered by the closure of most of the Carol's Daughter's freestanding stores. And at that time, 7 freestanding stores, and 5 of those stores had closed, unfortunately. Around that same time frame, in the same year, basically, I'm not going to say same time frame, but still in 2024, it was announced that Carol's Daughter was purchased by L'Oreal. They had reached an agreement, and she was selling her stake to L'Oreal. Now, interesting enough, I want to pedal back to 2017, and that article, that Essence article that I'll link below, did mention that was actually always Lisa Price. I was about to say Carol's Daughter. That was always Lisa Price's end goal, which when you have a beloved product that you kind of get invested in the story and know it's a small business and see it then sold, there are a lot of mixed opinions that happen with that type of sale. But it was interesting, like I said, to see that she said that was her end goal, is that she wanted to sell, and L'Oreal was one of the companies that were top on her list. Now, during the time when L'Oreal took over, there was a shift that you did see with, I don't know whether it was formulations that were changed necessarily, but you did see a shift and change within kind of like the type of product labels. I remember personally not being as happy with the labels that were put on the products when I bought them from Target, for example, back in the day. And the reason for that is because I remember buying Carol's Daughter like from Macy's, or which was distributed through Carol's Daughter, or from the online store, and I did not have the issue of the lettering rubbing off. And I noticed that at some point they changed the labels, and then the words were rubbing off at some point. And when you're thinking about a product where it's going to be handled heavily, your hands are going to have water or some other products on them, you don't want the wording, the instructions, and the details of it coming off. So I remember that. It didn't stop me from buying a product, but I do remember that was something. So a lot of times when you see companies that are sold to larger companies, you do see a change and a shift in items, whether that's formulation. I'm not saying that's the case in this situation, but I'm just giving examples. Also, like I said, I just gave example, packaging changes sometimes. Also, how products are marketed. So you did see this change in brand identity, and people did speculate and talk about the change in marketing that had happened around this time frame too, when the control was handed over to a larger big box company. Now, fast forwarding to this year, that I'll give you a little bit of a history about Carol's Daughter. That Lisa Price has now bought her company back. I think it is something amazing. Like I said, we're seeing Houda, we're seeing some of these other companies that are doing that, and it's very interesting that this is happening. I love this ink quote that they took from the article when they took within this article when they interviewed Lisa Price. And it says, choosing the right product is not about predicting the next viral trend. It's about knowing your values and your customers. And I think that is just very important when you have businesses, whether they remain with the original founder. There are different opinions on that, whether, companies should sell, and to each his own. You just never know the inner workings, the situation, why things need to be sold or why they are being sold. And if you're not the person doing the day-to-day work, it's easy to give opinions when you're not the person in the trenches. And it's not always a bad thing when a company is sold. I definitely want to make that point. But I think it's, like I said, this really cool thing where we're seeing brands, these female founders, take their businesses back, or buy their businesses back. And when I was trying to look around to see, why she did want to purchase her business back, actually also after seeing that her initial plan was to sell it, according to Essence in 2017, is that she wanted to return to the brand's independent roots and pursue her original vision with more agility. More agility. So first is the desire for independence, like I just mentioned, reclaiming the vision for where she wanted Carol's daughter to go, a new partnership, and experience and strategic growth, and also keeping that kind of foundational piece within the products is something else. It looks like a reason why she wanted to purchase the company back. And then being able to focus on customer needs. I did read something, which if I can find it, I'll put it up on the screen, but I remember seeing something related to her saying that, because I think at some point she did remain on, I don't remember her official role, but I do remember her staying on for at least a few years after the business was sold to L'Oreal, and her mentioning that when you're able to fail fast is kind of the gist of what she mentioned. And when you are owned by a kind of larger company, there's a lot more process, a lot more red tape, a lot more approvals that have to go through. So if you want to try something, it's easy to execute it and get it out. And if it doesn't work, make that change, versus when someone else is responsible and making the final decisions for a business. When it's a large corporate group involved, that process can take longer to make that change or notice those changes that need to be made to help the business out. And with that said, she did say that one of the things she's going to do is go back to the original line of products, where she will be introducing body care as well as fragrances, which I do remember Carol's daughter having some body care and fragrances, if I'm not mistaken. So it's very interesting that she's getting back into that body care, body butters, like those Bum creams. Fenty Beauty has body creams, like those are very hot right now. And I think that is something that people will really enjoy for a long time. The type of company or what company you buy them from, may change, but the fact that she had already started with those products is very interesting. Let me know what you think. My name is Indy with Fashion Home Life by E. Make sure you hit the like button before you go, especially if you're at this point. But thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.